This is Professor Mike Ventola from Sandhills Community College, bringing you Grass of the Week. Welcome back. This is our second Grass of the Week. I wanted to let you know that when you watch these, you should probably have pencil and paper in front of you, be taking some notes. You should also have your book, which is the Turfgrass Pest Management Manual from North Carolina State University. Page 13 is important, so you should take notes. And one of the nice things I think about this format is you can stop, think about what I have said, go back and listen to it again if you have trouble, and then when you're in class, please ask questions about the lectures. So we're going to start with Rough Bluegrass today. That's Poa trivialis, P-O-A, underlined, T-R-I-V-I-A-L-I-S, underlined, and notice you don't just underline underneath both of them. If you do that on an exam, that will be marked wrong. And again, Linus is the man that named them. Poa trivialis, here you can see a nice picture of the grass. It is again a poa. It's got a boat-shaped leaf tip. It's got parallel racing stripes along the midrib. You won't often get to see this nice seed head, but a real nice, pretty purple seed head on Poa trivialis. This is a grass that is really not suited for the transition zone except in one special case, but it is very prevalent in Europe. It's a grass that's even mixed in on putting greens and fairways in areas like that. Here's a beautiful drawing of Poa trivialis. Again, we know it's a poa. It's got boat-shaped leaf tips. It's got parallel racing stripe lines, and it also has weak stolons, so no rhizomes. So we do not see rhizomes. So if we saw rhizomes, it would be Kentucky bluegrass. But this grass does not have any rhizomes. So I want you to go to page 13 on your book and find Rough Bluegrass. That would be along the right. It says page 20. So right here, and you can follow along. I like this format better than the old format of the dichotomous key because you can work backwards. If you think you know what the grass is, you can go ahead and look back and say, okay, we've got rough bluegrass. It's got a boat-shaped leaf tip. Yes. It's divided. Yes. It's open partway, flattened, absent rhizomes. Stolons are present, but you're not going to see them very prominently. So we'll go here. So there's our vernation. Again, it's folded, so we'll take it, roll it in our finger. It's not going to roll. We're going to get to some rolled grasses here pretty soon, right after we talk about Poa annua, but it will fold. It will distinctly flop like all the bluegrasses. The ligule is a little bit larger than that of the Kentucky bluegrass, but not much. And again, this is not the ultimate ID. It's something worth looking at, but it's not the ultimate to find it. There's no auricles. The growth habit, there are stolons. Again, they're not super prevalent, but you want to be aware of those stolons and that growth habit. The sheath is open, increased, and the collar is divided by a midrib. And the blade, here we go. So our boat-shaped racing stripes. So our main things are stolons and our boat-shaped racing stripes. So here's a picture of Poa trivialis grown in North Carolina. You can see this is a sick-looking plant. That's one of the major features of this grass. We like it because it dies. It does not like heat. It has a yellow-green color. It's not as dark green as Kentucky bluegrass. It probably has a similar color to annual bluegrass. Some annual bluegrass is darker, but this has a yellower color. Prostrate, it grows fairly flat, falling over, not much turgor. Slender stolons, no rhizomes. So no rhizomes. If you see rhizomes, what would that be? Know for yourself. Also, weak heat tolerance. So very weak heat tolerant. So this grass will not last very far into the spring, which is we're going to see is an advantage. It's an advantage if we're going to use it as an overseeding grass on a grass that we want to be healthy in the summer, like Bermuda grass putting greens. It likes cool, moist shade. So if you're in the Northeast on a golf course and you can't get anything to grow because you got an area that's wet and in the shade, this is your dog. But it's not going to work very well in the heat. When I was at Michigan State, my first job was to manage the greenhouse, where I had 30 or 40 all of these grasses, and I had to keep them alive. And when spring came and it got hot in the greenhouse, the Poa trivialis, the rough-stalk meadowgrass, rough bluegrass, started to look like this, started to wilt. And I panicked because I thought I was going to lose my job. Everybody laughed at me, and we killed it, and we ended up reseeding it. It turns out every year they had to reseed it in the summer. So the grad student charged with taking care of the grasses learned what a weak grass Poa trivialis was, and we just reseeded it, which is what you would do here. So even in Michigan, this grass is not going to persist except in those perfect conditions, which are cool, wet, shade. There's a different grass for dry shade in Michigan. In that case, I would choose some of the fine fescues, which we're going to turn later, but the cool, moist shade is the place for rough bluegrass. It blends with red fescue and Kentucky bluegrass. Again, that's your shade mix if you're going to go to Lowe's and get something in the Northeast, and it's predominant in northern Europe. So that's an area, again, where cool, moist shade. So it developed there, and that's what I would know about this grass. We can see a putting green from the drive-by in the car. This shot here, this grass looks nice and fine. This is actually at Mid Pines Golf Course in Pinehurst. This is a Bermuda grass putting green, and it's overseeded, where they came in and put seeds all into the Bermuda grass with Poa trivialis. And the reason they did that is because they want it to look like this. They want it to look green. Unfortunately, when you get close up and look at that green, you're going to see that where the seed was put down with the slit seeder, or where they, I think in this case, they verticut, and then the seed fell into the holes, we've got lines. So if you have a putt across those lines, it's not going to be very smooth. So I do not like it as a putting grass, but it was used quite a bit for the older Bermuda grasses. We found now that the newer Bermuda grasses, it's just easier to paint them. And if you want to see that for yourself firsthand, you can go to Knollwood Fairways here in the winter in Pinehurst, and they have a practice putting green that they paint. They do not overseed it with Poa trivialis. They just paint it green, and it provides a better putting surface, and they find that the Bermuda grass comes out even better than from Poa trivialis. So if you were to overseed it with ryegrass, it would do very poor. Overseeding with Poa trivialis, the Bermuda, it dies quicker, so the Bermuda grass comes out quicker, but not overseeding at all and painting has been The Grass of the Week music is the Sand Hills Community College Jazz Band, directed by Tim Haley.